Welcome to the Driven Moms Answering Adversity interview series, stories of success through setbacks from Mom Elevated. Together, we can shine a light on how normal challenges and struggles are, along with how we can overcome and rise above them. Today, we have Sandie with us to share her story. So, if you wouldn't mind, go ahead and share a little bit about your story to get us started.
The way I found what I do in integrative healing and helping people heal naturally from chronic illness, I was diagnosed with migraines when I was 7. I started to experience them very severely as a child. And as a teen, I started to have a lot of mood swings, depression, insomnia, manic episodes. At 19, I was diagnosed with bipolar depression, which, it sounds like a lot, but it was just normal because my whole family was pretty mentally unstable. So it was like, oh, you're just following suit with everybody else. I was put on medication, and at the time I was going to university to study to become a doctor, and I very quickly realized I did not enjoy pharmaceuticals and did not want to go that route. So I finished my degree in biomedicine, went on, became a massage therapist, and in my last year, right, at least I'm helping somebody. But in the last year, I developed a severe bout of food poisoning, which caused my health to spiral downhill. A year later, I was diagnosed with lupus, and they tried to put me on a lot of different medications. I said no. I embarked on a natural healing journey that took many years, had many setbacks, a lot of success, but at the same time, a lot of failures, caused more harm than good, I'm guessing. And eventually I went on to get certified to be able to run the labs to figure out my health issues. And I was able to heal myself, and I started working as a practitioner. And over the years, I developed my program, which is really a whole body approach using functional labs. We follow a system, we're working on everything in the body. And from there, I ended up going on and writing my book, Heal Yourself, and starting the Integrative Healing Academy. We've got 26 grads now and over 100 students. So this is what I do. I help people heal naturally. I work with adults and children, babies, all sorts of different health issues. In kids, I work a lot with, we see a lot of rashes, a lot of eczema, and a lot of behavioral type issues, balancing the brain. For me, I started having those issues when I was 7 with the migraines. And now looking back, I can really see that that was caused by a neurotransmitter imbalance. And I've, since healed the migraines, and I'm very mentally stable. But as a child, when I look at my son and I run his genetics and I see that he is very similar to me, I can see what his brain needs to be balanced and give him those supplements. So we're not running into those behavioral issues that I had, because the intense behaviors, the anger, the outbursts, the tantrums, everything started around that age when my brain started to go really out of balance.
That's so fascinating to me, partially because my son also gets migraines here and there. It's not as
Wow. Yeah.
bad now. We've kind of started seeing triggers and
Yeah.
things, but they also started when he was a little bit younger, like probably around 8, which fascinatingly enough, that's when we started having anger issues with him as well. I never really associated
Mhm.
that until now. Wow, that's so fascinating to me. I love the brain is
Brain is my thing. Yeah. Love
right.
it.
That is so cool. So remind me, what exactly is lupus? What does it do? It's like I know, obviously I know the term, but I'm not familiar exactly with how that affects the body or what it is.
Yeah, so it's an autoimmune condition, and really it's a label. So you're having a lot of symptoms, and you have certain symptoms plus certain antibodies, and then they stick a label on you. And for me, every single symptom had a root cause. I was on an antidepressant, and when I finally was able to get off the antidepressant and balance my brain naturally, I would say 90% of the symptoms that were associated with lupus went away when I didn't have those side effects from the medication anymore, right? So a lot of times you have symptoms, you're given a medication, the medication gives you side effects, then you need another medication for those side effects, and you get another label, based on really medication side effects.
Yeah.
And every single symptom that I had from lupus had its own root cause. And I'm personally all about like unlabeling, whether it's for adults or for children. You know, there's developmental differences in kids, and then we stick a label on them. You know, kids aren't meant to sit in a box and sit on a table and learn all day. So we stick a label on them when they don't follow suit. And, you know, we're all different. And everything that we're going through, we can almost always find a root cause.
That is so I love that. I have so many questions. But no, I think that is so true. Even I have 3 children, and seeing just all the differences between them is night and day sometimes.
Mhm.
Do the same thing with each kid, and it's gonna hit differently each time,
Yeah.
and affect them differently, and I love diving into their differences and seeing how you best support them because it teaches me a lot about me, first of all, but then it also teaches me better. I think it helps me deal with my clients as well because you
Mhm.
do have to see that there are so many different personalities and then there's so much that just goes into each. My middle one is very emotionally charged and it feels very deeply and is very empathetic, whereas my oldest, he's very much like me, so stubborn, hard-headed. If you can logic your way through it, or if you can convince him it's his idea, perfect. That's even
Right.
better. So
And it's great when you understand them because then you can help them move through it for sure.
yeah, absolutely. I think that is incredible. What do you think then within that timeline? Because that sounds like so much over so many different years, especially if it started when you were 8 years old. What do you think was kind of like the pivotal point? Was it the lupus diagnosis and starting to uncover those root causes? Or like what was the biggest adversity that you had to answer? And then how did you go about breaking that down and being like, okay,
Mhm.
and then this is my direction. This is what I love. This is
Right?
how I'm using medicine.
Yeah, it definitely was the lupus diagnosis because I got really sick to the point where like I was not functioning. And I knew I like for the longest time I wanted to help people. It just was manifesting in different ways. And my goal was really to get better to have my child because I had always wanted children. I actually wanted many children and I have one, but that's okay. I'm very grateful, but it was a drive and a determination to figure it out. And every health issue that I've had over the years has been you have to stay determined to figure it out. No matter what we're given in life, we just have to stay determined to figure it out versus be, you know, consumed by it. And don't get me wrong, I spent a year being very consumed by it. I lived in my parents' basement. You know, I was resigned to die there. Everything that I had been trying naturally for the previous, you know, 2 years has not been working. And this was back in 2012. And so I know that feeling, right? That I've given up. You're at the bottom, but you eventually, if you don't die, it gets really not fun to be there. And you eventually decide at one point that, okay, you know, I've got to start climbing out of this hole and there's got to be a solution. I can use, like, for me, I have a very heavy science background and I wanted to use that science to start to heal my body. And that just, you know, started this journey. And back in 2012, we didn't have the type of resources that we have now. There wasn't all these online courses and labs and access to practitioners all around the world. That didn't exist back then. So, you know, it was figuring it out on my own, but everything that I've went through has really helped impact everybody else's lives. And even now, when I go through something or if I'm working with a client that I've never seen something before, which doesn't happen often, but every once in a while, I'm like, wow, you know, I haven't seen this before. I don't, or why isn't something working? Then I end up having to seek and look and learn. And that's just how I'm able to help more people. And then now with my grads and my students, being able to pass that knowledge on so that they're also going and having this big ripple effect.
Yeah, that's so beautiful. Being my middle also has some medical things that we've been dealing with since she was 18 and no diagnosis, but we just continue to see
18
what
years old.
18 months, yeah.
Okay, because I'm like,
18 months.
you look really young. Like,
No, my
first of
oldest,
all,
thank you. My oldest is 14. So
well,
I still
that's still
have
crazy because when you got on here, I'm like, okay, is she a teenager? Like, what's going on? Then you're like,
we
you have
have
all these
great
kids. And I'm like, what's going on here?
I am blessed with some great genes in this
You
family. My
have some,
sister's 5 years older than me, and I swear she still looks like she's 12. But yeah,
that's going to be awesome. You're going to be like 80 and look like you're 40 and you're just going to keep on going.
I love that. I'm okay with that. We're gonna go with that. But no, but since she was 18 months old, we've been on this journey of trying to advocate for her and find not necessarily, I don't care if there's ever a diagnosis, but definitely
Mhm,
it took a lot of steps to see what would best support her and what would
mhm,
work well. And maybe not what's going on, but maybe what can improve her
mhm.
condition or her experience of the world around
Right.
her. So that's been a really, really interesting navigation of the medical system, I suppose. It is
Mhm,
definitely knowing how to push when necessary and when to step back and do my own research or reach out to other forms of medicine and
right.
other areas. So it's been really, really interesting, or even spiritually, because like I said, she's very empathetic and emotional, and so some of that I think affected just her body in general. So reaching out to like spiritual people, and I'm like, how do I help protect her, like her own body, and let her know that that's not, you know, that's not hers to hang on to. She's feeling somebody else's emotions.
Mhm.
It's been a really enlightening experience. So I think, I don't know, I don't know how would you sell somebody, because you said, back then in 2012, there wasn't so much. Now we're
Right.
inundated with so much information. How do you begin that journey of being like, this is maybe the route I should take? What is something you would tell somebody to start at?
Yeah, getting labs. Like honestly, over the years, I have run a ridiculous amount of labs, not just the same labs, but tried different labs. And the ones in my program, they give me the most information and they're telling me about the body. So neurotransmitters, detoxification system, nutrient deficiencies, mitochondria, so cellular energy. We're going to look at adrenals. We're going to look at hormones, which, that a lot doesn't apply to children, but with kids, I normally start by getting their genetics because our brain plays such a huge role in what we're going through and how our neurotransmitters are balanced. So some people have too much dopamine, some people have too little, some people have too much serotonin, some people have too little, the same with GABA. There's all these neurotransmitters in our brain that really affect how we feel. And when we run our genetics, we can get a picture of that. And then we run something called an organic acids test. I use a mosaic test, and it gives us the other part of the puzzle, which is what is active. And from there, we can see, is there anything blocking neurotransmitter function? Are you missing precursors? Getting on basic nutrients properly designed for the person's body. So, specific things like your emotional child likely will not do well with methyl donors. But if you're giving them a multivitamin or a B complex, you're likely driving that and making it worse. The same with the anger. So a lot of supplements people are taking right now is really detrimental to them because it's not the right form for their body, for their detox, and for their brain. So we want to look at these labs, and depending on the age of the child, and depending on the severity of the health issues, it really determines whether I would require blood work. So, little kids, it can be very traumatic, and I prefer not to do blood work unless necessary. So we use these two labs in particular. We work on creating a foundation support for them, and then go on and working on the gut and heavy metals because we're all picking up things in our gut all the time. We're inundated with toxins, so we need to work on detox pathways. And we're inundated with heavy metals also, especially if children are vaccinated. So we need to start removing these from the body and start supporting the body's natural function. And in a way, we really are biohacking, so we can see what the brain needs, and we're giving the brain tools to come to balance.
That's so interesting to me. I love that. I feel like you describe it really well too. So like it's very ingestible in the way that you describe it. And
I try. Sometimes it comes out all sciencey, more sciencey than I intend.
Hey, but that's okay. Then we can ask the questions to
Yeah.
dissect that a little bit. But I think that's fascinating. What do you think then it is about entrepreneurs specifically that make us continue on when things get challenging, when it's easier to give up, when times get tough, you know, when you're in the moment and you're like, I'm just gonna give up. I'm ready to give up. This is How do you get to that point where you're like, you know what? We are deciding to keep going.
Well, with the entrepreneur world, if we go back 8 years ago when I started and you could, post a video on YouTube and sign up 10 clients, it was very, very different. Now there are so many people online selling something, and it is tough. And as long as you have a passion to help people and you're coming from a place of service, it should be pretty easy to keep going. Now, it doesn't mean that I would go and like leave a full-time job and have no income, because then you're in a state of need and a state of lack. And in I have a business aspect course for the Integrative Healing Academy for my grads. And it's better if you stay in your job or go part-time so you still have income and you can work on building your business without it having to be, I need clients now, right? Because at the end of the day, working with people and doing this kind of work, especially what I do, but any type of entrepreneurship, it needs to come from a place of service and genuinely wanting to try to help people. Because if you're just trying to get somebody to sign up with you, it's going to, one, generate sales resistance. It's going to push them away. And you really want to just try to help. And if you show in that trying to help that you are an expert and you build a connection with people and you incorporate your story and you're very authentic, then they're naturally going to seek you out versus you trying to like, hey, work with me, sign up for this, do this. That just pushes people away. People are tired of all these emails in their inbox. They're tired of the webinar funnels. They're tired of, everybody at the end, here is me trying to sell you something, and then push, 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 and sleazy sales calls where you have to sign up on the spot or this disappears. And that might have worked for a very small period of time, but people very quickly got wise to it, and now they just don't want to get on a sales call with you. So it's going back to just being of service, trying to help. Know what you're doing, know what you're talking about, be authentic, and then they're going to want to come to you.
I love that. I also feel like that ties very much into the brain.
Yeah,
How you're
yeah.
wired. How if
It's
you
completely.
resist I one of my clients used to say what you resist persists. So if you're
Yeah.
resisting something, it's going to pop up every time. Uh
What you fight, you strengthen.
yeah. Yeah. I That's so true. I I adore you, first of all. I
Oh,
think
thank
that's
you. I love you too.
fantastic.
Like I adore, and I'm like, I love.
Je t'aime. No, but,
Yeah.
what takeaway or lesson do you think that other mompreneurs would be able to use specifically from your experience, from everything that you went through to now, to teaching your grad students, to, setting everybody up for success, and then still continuing, again, that service and then just expansion from there? What is it that you think that they could take away from all that?
Yeah, so it's so important to take care of yourself first. You need to be able to give from a place of abundance. If you're, being a mom and trying to work and trying to build your business and you're exhausted all the time, it's going to leave you in a state of non-attraction. You're not going to get anybody to sign up with you or work with you. It really helps if your brain is balanced and your body is supported. So making sure you're healthy and you're living at that optimal state and feeling good so you can go into it very energetically, and create that attraction point, right? Because if you're overwhelmed, nothing's going to happen. We like, as an example, I normally have people coming and booking assessments all the time. Like I think I have 4 or 5 tomorrow and 6 the next day, so it's all the time. But when I was at the beginning of September, I got really sick for like 2 weeks, really bad cold. I was throwing everything naturally out of and the kitchen sink. Like I was hitting it hard. I still was sick. And then we had hurricane number one. And then my son got sick with the same thing. And he got very sick because when he gets sick, he cannot take supplements. He starts throwing up. He lost a lot of weight and ended up with pneumonia. Like it was not great. And then we got hit by another hurricane. And I can tell you in that period of time, I had all these assessments booked, but I couldn't sign up like somebody if I gave them it for free because at an attraction point, I could not handle anything right now. I was overwhelmed with my life circumstances. So if you're overwhelmed with your life circumstances, it's going to be very hard for you to be focusing on your business. So you need to put things in place, run some labs, support your brain, support your body, feel good, and get some self-care in place. Make sure you're asking for help, setting boundaries, like all these things, the mindset work, it needs to be done too. It's not just about marketing and this email funnel or this webinar. If you don't have the solid base to do this, then it's not going to work. It's not like going to a 9 to 5 job where you just show up. It doesn't matter how you feel. You get paid, you do your work, you come home. So much of the entrepreneurship is energy and attraction. So you need to work on that too.
I love that. So much of what I teach is about creating space because as moms and entrepreneurs, sometimes it just feels really heavy and there's so much going on all the time. You're juggling so many things at one time that it's important to create space, and not fill up that space just because it's there. Like being okay
Exactly.
with letting it be there, has been
Mm-hmm.
really, really important. And I think that's so huge. That's so vital. I love that you shared that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And so, if others want to be in your space now that you are ready and you're settled and you're in a good space, if others
No more
want,
hurricanes. Sun is
yeah,
healthy.
right.
We're putting some weight back on. Everything is good. I'm going to take like 4 days off this weekend, just rebalance,
Oh,
regroup,
nice.
and yeah, created that space, that giant space to just relax and move into that and start everything fresh. But yeah, you can go to www.sgintegrativehealing.com if you're interested in getting some labs, seeing what's going on with your body or your child, if your child is having any health issues. And if you're looking, if you're passionate about natural healing, passionate about helping other people, and you want some guidance, building your business and everything like that, you can go to www.integrativehealingacademy.com.
Wonderful. I will have the links in the description as well, but just in case they're just listening, they'll still be able to find you, be in your space, soak up your knowledge and hopefully work with you. Do you work with anybody across the globe or is it locally
Across the
or
globe.
yeah?
Yeah, I
Amazing.
have clients now in 27 countries.
Oh my gosh, that's phenomenal. I love that. Ah,
Mhm.
congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, the last new country we had was Japan. So we actually have somebody studying to become a practitioner right now in Japan. Have somebody in Malaysia also studying to become a practitioner. I do have a couple clients in Malaysia, which you wouldn't think so, but yeah, all sorts of countries.
That is so cool. Oh, I'm proud to know you.
Thank you.
That's amazing. Well, cool. I hope it continues to just
Thanks.
explode. I feel like not only what you share is important, but I feel like how you share it really is part of
Mhm.
the
It's
beauty
big.
of it. Yeah.
Yeah, and
The
it's really allowing it to grow at its own pace. And I think too, a lot of moms, a lot of entrepreneurs, we all want to be making a lot of money right now, but we don't realize with that money comes a lot of work. So allowing it to expand at its own pace. I don't run any Facebook ads or do any advertising like that because if it did explode, then I couldn't handle it. And then I wouldn't be able to give every student, every graduate, every client the attention and energy that they need to succeed, right? It's not all about just expansion and growth. And we really got into that over the past 8 years. Everybody is like, you just need to expand, you need to upscale, you need to scale, and it's not all about scaling. Help people make an impact. That's where we need to stay focused.
I think that's so critical. I was just the one of the most recent interviews I did, actually, it was this morning. She was talking about dharma and being in like your groove and finding your place. And I think that's really important for a lot of moms to hear too, is that yeah, you can scale. I was told I should have an agency numerous times. I did not want an agency. That is not, I
Mhm.
like being hands-on with my clients, and I feel like if I
Yep.
had an agency, I'd be just the face of the company, and I don't really get to deal with a lot of it, and that would be
Mhm.
really difficult. And so, yeah, you kind of have to listen to your inner guidance there and make sure that it's in alignment so that it does grow at its own pace, and you scale it the way you want to. And I think a lot of times when it does explode, you have to invest so much into that, that what are you actually bringing home? So that's also really important to think about.
Exactly.
But I love that. Thank you so much. Thank you
You're
for
very
joining us
welcome.
today.
Thanks
It
for
has
having
been
me.
enlightening and wonderful. I always like to tell everybody your story is inspirational and your willingness to be open about it is not only appreciated, but very much needed in this space, in this time, in what everybody is going through right now. I think it helps to hear a lot of these stories and how you've handled it and get through it. So I appreciate that.
Thank
For
you.
those of you out there facing your own adversity, know that you're not alone. That's the whole point of what we're doing in this interview series. You are not alone. You have all of these resources to tap into. You have all of these stories to tap into. But when you need an extra hand or mine for brainstorming during your mompreneur journey, you can reach out to Sandie, or we'd also love to work with you through the Mom Elevated Society, which we now have Gift Yourself Grace in that program, and it is wonderful. I love doing that. That's quarterly. You'll find monthly check-ins for goal setting and assessing, and so much more for both your business and your mom life. And until next time, keep shooting for the stars.